Hi guys, this is Becca shedding some light on theme and symbolism, two powerful story elements that can help us reveal the deeper layers of our fiction while also creating a more immersive and meaningful experience for readers. A story's theme is the central message, the all-important idea that is explored over the course of many pages. For instance, your story may be about a police detective trying to catch a killer. When it turns out the guilty party is his own brother, the protagonist will have to decide if he'll bring him in or look the other way. In a story like this, the underlying message could be about a number of topics, such as justice, honor, or family loyalty. Now, these generalized themes are most often where we start. We know we're writing a story about justice, for instance. But the message we want to convey over the course of the story will be more specific, with a particular bent. So we need to go deeper. To clarify, let's look at the justice entry. Here you'll see some thematic statements commonly associated with this concept. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice will always be upheld. There is no justice without equality. These are all different ways of thinking about this one idea. The examples here can help you zero in on which specific variation of a generic theme you might want to reinforce. Most of the time, that thematic statement will be the idea that the protagonist and the reader will come around to by the end of the story. But as we know, growth is a process, meaning the character will often start out with a different opinion about the theme. Let's say we want to use our story to explore this first thematic statement, that justice is a personal responsibility. In this case, on page 1, maybe our police detective has lost faith in the system and doesn't believe that justice is really possible anymore. This is an anti-thematic statement because it contradicts the message we want to convey. It's also a skewed belief or view of the world that's clouding the character's thinking and keeping him from success. After all, he's been tasked with catching a killer. How can he do that if he believes justice is a pipe dream? To achieve his goal, he's going to have to realize that justice is possible if individuals take responsibility for it and make it happen. And that will lead to the realization that he'll have to rededicate himself to his duty as an officer and do whatever it takes to achieve justice. So if you know your story's thematic statement, you can use these anti-thematic statements to figure out your character's starting point. Or maybe you do things a little differently. Maybe you don't know exactly what your story is going to be about, but you do know who your character is. You know which of these statements they're already embracing. You can start there and look back at possible thematic statements he might need to warm up to. So as you can see, this information can be used a couple of ways to help you figure out your theme, your thematic statement, and where your protagonist will fit into it. Whatever your protagonist believes, there are some other aspects of characterization that will tie into that belief system. Flaws and attributes, for instance. Which ones would make sense for a character who believes that justice is a fairy tale? Apathetic? Selfish, maybe? Pessimistic? What if he used to be highly idealistic, believing that one person could make a difference? That's why he went into law enforcement to begin with. If this is the case, as his own thematic idea is challenged throughout the story, he'll recall the person he used to be, and that could make it easier for him to make that shift in his thinking. So considering different traits and how they're related to personal values and ideals can help us create characters that make sense and feel realistic. Many times the character's ideas will be challenged by other cast members, a mentor, a love interest, a sidekick, or even an antagonist with a differing viewpoint. So the content in this field can also help you build out those characters so their traits align with their beliefs. Now, a person's ideals come from their own life experiences, good and bad. One thing that can definitely influence their opinion about a given theme is a past wounding event. For example, a different character who experienced an abuse of power or unchecked discrimination, they're going to have their own strong ideas about justice. Building a wounding event into their past that supports their thematic statement is another way of creating strong and authentic characters. To that end, each entry contains a collection of wounds that could impact a character's view on that theme. They all come from our emotional wound thesaurus, so if any of these look interesting, just click the links and go right to that entry for more information. Theme can be tricky to write because it really needs to be subtle and understated rather than heavy-handed for it to be effective. So in each entry, we've provided some examples of how that theme has already been used in books, movies, and other creative works, so you can see how others have handled it. And because symbols are often used to reinforce themes, you've got a brainstorming list of symbols here that could realistically be associated with your story idea. Some writers start a project knowing their theme and building it into their story. For others, the method is a little more organic, with the theme emerging as they draft. Whatever your process, this thesaurus can be a valuable tool for exploring common themes and finding symbols that can not only reinforce that message, but add depth by characterizing or hinting at backstory. For more ideas on story themes and using symbolism to reinforce them, check out the tutorial for this thesaurus. Happy writing!